Loading, 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 load. And it's up. Well, it's still doing the red thing across the screen, so I'm a bit confused ever. This one just on my channel. Jesus, this is on my channel. It's my YouTube channel. My YouTube channel, not my. I don't have a Twitch channel. I mean, geez, why would I have a Twitch channel? That's stupid. That's really stupid. No one's here yet, apparently. Oh, jeez, I need to shave again. Yep, I really do. I look gross. Oh boy. Oh boy. So I'm still waiting for people to join, apparently. Fantastic. Yatam. Yatam Talamo. That's a thing? What the fuck going on my hair? Jesus. Fuck. Stupid animals. No one. Not really sure what I expected, to be honest. Oh, jeez, man. How old is this journal? Can't be that old. Hello? Who is it? I wasn't paying attention. I think this is like almost half of this journal is just this one story. Jesus. Man. Oh, hello, you. I guess you're here finally. I was just looking through this journal and I found my closet over there. I mean, can't really see it because the computer's an angle there, but it is my closet. I mean, I honestly don't know how loud my microphone is right now, but I'm guessing it's pretty loud. Let's see. Oh yeah, it's fucking loud. Jesus. Boy. Whew, yeah, I'm literally pointed the opposite direction. I can still hear my voice really well. Yeah, it's loud. Mm-hmm. Zabat was what the heck? Interesting. Blah, 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 blah. But yeah, I was just looking through this journal. Pretty big. Not a lot of pages, but it's a big journal. I haven't even filled it out all the way. Okay. I can hear the birds chirping. I don't know if you can hear that, but I can hear them chirping. Yeah. I need to shave again. health is even the point of anything. Why am I saying weird things? That's one thing, but whatever. Fate just really fucking hates people, I guess. I don't know. You are escorted into a small plain room with a wooden table, a chair that looks older than you are, and a newish television. You turn around, but your escorts have already closed the door behind you. It locks with a heavy clunk. Oh, has a sense of finality to it. Nobody is getting through that door. You decide to take a seat. The chair creaks. After a few moments, the video begins to play. The SCP. Oh, okay. This is like a SCP story I wrote, apparently. The SCP Foundation symbol appears, static over a dark blue background with a line beneath it. Memetics Division. Honestly, that makes sense for me. I really like all the stuff that has to do with that in that universe. A computer-generated voice begins to speak in a pleasant, posh British accent. I can do that. I can definitely do that. Introduction to the Memetics Division Research Program, Sigma Sigma Elf. If you are watching this video, you have been informed of memetic risk and the mandatory terms of your assignment. This is your last opportunity to appeal. Continuation of this recording constitutes consent to the terms of the assignment and establishes a point of no return. You have opted to continue. You have been selected for Sigma Sigma Elf because of your medical history. Personnel of your background are required for research into 6171. You and your work will be quarantined from other personnel to prevent memetic exposure. You may pose a risk to other Foundation personnel. You may experience permanent changes. You will be monitored. Your monitor will be aware of the nature of the risks you may pose. As an added precaution, you will be responsible for self-monitoring for changes to the fine. My handwriting is so fucking weird. What the fuck is that shit? From the look of it, this is very recent. This is very recent because that is definitely my handwriting currently. I don't know how recent though, but whatever. Maybe you can see it better now. I don't know. Yeah, you definitely can. Your personality, mood, long-term goals, alignment with the mission directives of the Foundation, regard for normative human values, sense of kinship with humanity, and your interest in maintaining normative cognitive and behavioral capabilities in other humans. I'm remembering this. I remember when I wrote this now. I wrote this when I was still doing the GED class thing or whatever. Actually, I can just, I don't know what the fuck I'm doing. My handwriting is, definitely interesting. I'll give it that. It's very interesting. The fuck is that sound? That's weird. My mic just made a sound, like kind of like squeak. That's a bit odd. You have been selected because you have previously been exposed to 6171, though you are aware as a result, you are neurodivergent from the human population. Do not be alarmed. Outside observers are unlikely to suspect that anything about you is abnormal. The vast majority of people with your neural architecture live normal lives. You are not a conscious member of the human species. Do not be alarmed. Oh, I remember what this is now. I like this one. Ooh, yay. I remember what this is now. Oh, hell yeah. I love this one. I'm sorry. You all know I read that, yeah. Justine's stomach had been bothering her. A constant burning roil. It was making it hard to sleep. Jeff, hello, sir. I don't know who you are. I've never seen you before in my life, but you exist now, apparently. Your profile picture appears to be a stuffed mouse of some sort. Oh, two people are watching. Is Ezra back? Is Ezra back already? I don't know. I don't really know. I don't really care. But apparently someone came and left, and someone left a like. I don't understand. I had to. So I'm just reading this journal that I wrote here. It's my apparently I wrote a story in here. I remember what story this is. I really like this story. It's one of my I don't know. She didn't think a shrink was strictly necessary for a stomach complaint, but they had been very insistent. Apparently, they didn't like to take any chances with the new staff, especially in the first few weeks. The staff psychiatrist had offered her medication for gastroesophageal reflux and a piece of advice. If you don't drink, don't start now. If you do drink, do not increase consumption. As she walked down the hall towards her office, Justine was still trying to put her finger on the problem. It wasn't fear exactly. She felt she was. What the fuck just happened? Something just happened. I don't know what it was, but okay. I don't understand. Why does this person keep coming in and they're leaving? What kind of jackal do they think they are? What's going on there? Who the fuck is even here? It's like no one talks. For fuck's sake. Whatever. As she walked down the hall towards her office, Justine was still trying to put her finger on the problem. She felt she was safe working for the Foundation, and the nature of her work in particular wasn't especially dangerous. There shouldn't be too many surprises in replication studies. If the containment procedures had. Who's there? I'm sorry, what is going on? Why are there two of you? There's two people here that have the same fucking profile picture, and it's a bit sus. It's a bit sus, you gotta be honest. I don't fucking trust that shit. If the containment procedures had held up for this many years, then how much harm could she do? I might as well just say in chat. But it's literally saying in participants that it's Cat B3 and Jeff. I don't understand what's going on here, but okay. My, that was disgusting. I don't really understand why this is happening, but when will Ezra get back, for fuck's sake? How is this phone call? How is this phone call taking so long? How is the fucking phone call taking this long to finish? Oh boy. Oh, whatever. No, what she was feeling was more like dread. That was it. Her entire world had been a lie. Everything she knew 4 weeks ago had been overturned. That world had been eaten alive, screaming, page by page, by dry reports of incomprehensible monsters. She was still contemplating the dread when she realized she was standing in her office. Emmett, her research assistant, was already there. He looked like maybe he hadn't ever left. A comfortable shell of the accoutrements of life surrounded him. A mug, a styrofoam container with scraps of food, a picture of him with a little girl smiling. Emmett looked around at her briefly before returning his gaze to his computer. Good morning. What did the shrink say? Justine held up her new bottle of Gurn meds. Cute. Justine laid her satchel on her desk. Did you ever get access to that document you were after? Oh yeah, I finally got clearance this morning, but oh wait, well, okay. Apparently I can't. I apparently having trouble figuring out who's speaking in my own fucking story. That's just fantastic. Ever get access to the document you were after? Oh yeah, I finally got clearance this morning, but I haven't popped it open yet. You'd think the special medical eval was enough of a hassle, but I actually had to take it up the chain of command before they let me in, all the way to the O4. She asked to see our research authorization, and I swear she wanted to tell us no, but couldn't come up with a good enough reason. I guess it's a I guess it's a good thing InfoSec and the ethics committee signed off because containment really didn't want us poking around. Justine took a seat at her desk. Her orientation packet was still stacked neatly next to her laptop. She scanned the topics she'd covered on that first day. Panic attacks, we all get them. Introduction to info hazards, the less you know. Workplace relationships, so what can you talk about? Proper use of amnestics, not for casual use. Spooky stuff, Emmett went on. Yeah, I've worked with anomaly researchers, containment specialists, really spooky people, and I've never had the kind of clearance I've gotten on this project. Emmett was technically her assistant. She had the PhD in the room, but he had what she lacked: institutional knowledge and experience with the monsters. When she'd asked why they needed her, a neophyte to the Foundation, to lead a research effort, they'd replied that they wanted fresh eyes and the shiniest experimental methods that civilian science had to offer in order to verify their cold case data. Academic incest and all that. With over 6,000 SCPs on file, it stood to reason that some of their research findings, or worse, containment procedures, were based on shaky data arrived at by chance when testing a hypothesis. If your threshold for statistical significance is 5%, 1 in 20 will be false positive. It was classic p hacking. It was a crisis. Guess they consider QA pretty important. Yeah, well, if you me well, yeah, I mean, if you can't trust your data, then what can you? Emmett trailed off. The silence built up around Justine until Justine turned around. What's up? This SCP, I guess the human appendix is an SCP? After the things Justine had read about, somehow this didn't surprise her. Of course, the appendix was an SCP. The sky was probably an SCP. Justine rolled her chair over to Emmett's station. They read together in silence for a while. Item number 6171, object class Euclid. Special containment procedures. All personnel must submit to special medical evaluation in order to obtain clearance to access this document. There are no exceptions. This is not a mistake. Do not contact the Information Security Office. Update. Restricted to 04 clearance and above. Update. The 05 Council has determined that in order to ensure the operational effectiveness of the Foundation, information pertaining to 6171 will be 04 limited going forward. This will in effect and further research until such a time as the anomalous source has been determined. It is the Council's judgment that the best way to move forward with the Foundation's mission will be to allow those affected by 6171 to continue their current roles, anonymous and unaware of their prior exposure. They will never know who they are. We are to forget about them. This is the only memorial they will ever have. 6171 is an undiscovered and uncontained as of this writing. It is known only through its effects. Priority will be given to efforts to prevent common knowledge of the effects of 6171, 6171-1, and to limit the social disruption that would result from such knowledge. Foundation disinformation teams and agents embedded in prominent medical institutions shall ensure that all reference texts, anatomical atlases, and other authoritative materials on the human appendix include only a pre-1981 understanding of said organ. Any novel research proposals of the human appendix shall be vetoed by Foundation agents on civilian research funding boards or otherwise hindered through academic networks. The medic teams shall continue to reinforce the popular conception that the appendix is vestigial, mysterious, and serves no biological function. Foundation research approval boards shall screen all internal research proposals that may entail telepathic study of populations that contain 6171-1. Test subject proposals shall be amended to exclude 6171-1 subjects. Description. 6171 is a presently undiscovered anomaly believed to be a cognitohazard or infohazard, which causes the death of consciousness in exposed individuals. Individuals who have experienced consciousness death are designated 6171-1, or simply P-zombies. The anomaly is not understood at this time to be mimetic in nature. It is not contagious, but rather afflicts members of the entire human population in a random fashion. Consciousness, i.e., fundamental awareness in its most basic form, when stripped of thought and sensation, subjective experience, also known as qualia, is not a product of the brain. It is produced by a small tube of neural tissue approximately 10 centimeters long, attached to the infernal terminus of the large intestine and residing in the lower right quadrant of the abdomen in humans. The appendix. I remember when I was writing this, and I was just so chuffed to bits with this idea. I mean, P-zombies in general are just so fucking intriguing to me. They're intriguing and they're also terrifying, simply by nature of what that entails. It's chilling. Coming back. Physicians are presently taught that this tissue is a vestigial blind alley of the intestines, but it is in fact a ganglion with direct connections to what is sometimes referred to as the second brain, the enteric nervous system, ENS. The true function of the appendix as a component of the nervous system was first discovered by civilian researchers in 1981. Shortly thereafter, Foundation researchers initiated Project Sargon in order to explore appendectomy as a means of producing the more compliant Class D test subjects. This was believed to be a potential alternative to prefrontal lobotomy. A Thaumiel class telepathic entity was employed for the assessment of appendectomized test subjects in Project Sargon. During a session with appendectomized subject D31967, the entity made its discovery. Going to reissue now. You'll find an individual restrained in the adjoining test chamber. Yes, I can taste its fear. You may recall you've encountered this individual before. I want you to try to remember this man as he was when you last fed on him 3 weeks ago. Who the fuck are you? Angelo Serrano. Wait, what the fuck? I have 289 now? What the fuck happened, bitch? What the fuck? Okay, then. Huh. That's crazy. You know? Jesus Christ. For fuck's sake, what the fuck am I doing, mate? What the fuck am I doing? Right. A soft whimpering can be heard coming from subject D31967. Yes, but he's undergone a medical procedure since then. We want you to tell us this is not a man. Its suffering has gone from it. We want you to tell us what if you believe the subject to be more docile or the maggot here is not the same one. Its fear is hollow now. Could you elaborate? There is no man. It died. The shell remains. Shell? Do you mean the body? The skin sweats, the heart races, but its fear is primitive, like an insect, not fit for my nourishment. Notably, this entity is known to only feed upon higher vertebrate animals capable of experiencing a human-like fear response, including all primates, rodentia, and carnivora, notably excluding avians and reptiles. Follow-up session with this entity. Test subject D31, 34-7 present. We provided you with another. This one is worthless. I cannot feed. What do you mean, sorry? Why are people apologize so much? What's the point of apologizing? Like, what does it do? It does. I mean, yeah, it's nice and all, but I didn't. I don't know what's going on. We'd like for you to tell us if you detect the same abnormality, hollow, dead. Please attempt to describe what it is that you find to be absent from this individual. No soul, only a shell. All of our tests show this individual to be psychologically intact. Given to an outside observer, he appears to be normal. How would you explain? The machinery goes on. The watcher has departed. Further investigation confirms to be the case for all humans lacking a functioning neuroappendix. Telepathic investigation of normal members of the population with their intact neuroappendix confirm they all possessed consciousness, indicating a perfect one-to-one correlation of appendicitis with consciousness death. There was movement out of the corner of Justine's eye. They were so engrossed with their reading they hadn't noticed someone was standing in the doorway. Settling in? The stranger asked, leaning against the door frame. Justine looked at his badge. Dr. James Hadley. Familiar. Where had she seen that name? The org chart, that's right. He was her predecessor on the replication project. He must have moved on to bigger and better things. Oh yeah, oriented myself to literature, really, at this point. It's a lot to take in, she said with a harried expression. Who's there? There's two people here. Is Ezra back? Is the handsome boy back? Is he back? What's going on? Fucking r/slash anti-work. Bunch of lazy assholes. Yes, it is a lot to take in. Remember the first few weeks. You acclimate. It's pretty mundane work for the most part. Every now and then you see a little excitement, but that's what the Class D are for, am I right? Hadley looked at Emmett expectantly. Emmett turned from his screen. An awkward moment of silence passed before he realized he was excited. He expected to respond. Oh, yes, sir. We try to minimize excitement. Makes the work harder. Apparently satisfied, Hadley turned back to Justine. Well, I'm sure you'll fit right in. He smiled, wide and deliberate. Justine did not feel reassured. He straightened, stirred, and turned to leave. You just let me know if I can be of any help. I know some of these old files can be quite the puzzle, especially to fresh minds. You okay, Justine? Yeah, this is a lot, Emmett. Do you ever feel like it was too much? Like it wasn't the kind of person that can make the foundation? Yeah, not really. I just thought it was cool. Everyone says the Maya was a Luscon reaction. You can take a day if you need to. Nobody expects you to work miracles in your first month. There's more here. Behavioral observation, interview, and medical imaging revealed no gross deviation from baseline humans. Instances of 6171-1 appear normal in every way to an outside observer, and self-report as being normal. Personnel frequently report skepticism and lack of comprehension of these findings. Though it defies common intuition, a functional human possessing no consciousness is theoretically possible. Philosophers have posed the concept of a philosophical zombie, P-zombie. I don't know what you mean. And that's also not how you spell that word, just saying. Whatever. An, an individual that is physically indistinguishable from a normal human, but that possesses no subjective experiences with standard behaviors, reactions, motives, and cognitive abilities. The only thing absent would be the ability to introspect the internal workings of the mind and have experiences based on those internal self observations. The P zombies would have perception without awareness, thought without consciousness, stimulation without aesthetic preference, relation without empathy, pleasure without enjoyment, and pain without suffering. In other words, the system of the brain would produce and act upon internal signals, pain, pleasure, etc., but there would be no subject to interpret those signals as experiences. To use an analogy, P zombies can be thought of as a complex system of reflexes, or a highly sophisticated organic robot that can flawlessly mimic a human being. P zombies are still respondent to positive and negative valence sensory stimuli, i.e., pleasure and pain. The circuitry of the lower central nervous system, the spinal cord and attendant reflex arcs, will respond as normal to sensory signals indicating tissue damage, e.g., withdrawing a hand from a hot pan, and the higher central nervous system will process pain signals as normal, weighing decision making algorithms to avoid the painful stimulus in the future. Appendectomized humans will still make vocalizations, ouch, voice complaints. Why the hell would you do that? And even beg researchers to withdraw the source of a negative valence stimulus. It is essentially an elaborate reflex arc of the higher nervous system that produces the vocalizations. Research personnel should rest assured that no subject exists to experience the pain. Though the anomalous source of appendicitis remains unknown, some of its properties can be inferred. It exists in all human populations that have been studied, reaching all 7 continents, and I feel like people aren't even fucking listening. I swear. But yeah, I remember when I was writing this, and even now, philosophical zombies are one of those concepts that simultaneously intrigues me and terrifies me to no end because of the places my brain has gone with it in general. And yeah, there's so many fucking ways that, God, I swear, are you fucking coming back, dude? How long is this phone call? Jesus Christ. Whatever, I guess. I'm just fucking. It can afflict anyone beyond the age of 5 years old. Roughly 7% of the population will encounter it at some point in their lives. Individuals who've encountered it have no recollection of anything being out of the ordinary, other than a subsequent sharp pain in the abdomen indicating the onset of appendicitis. At the direction of the O5 Council, an assessment was made of the operational impact and security risk posed by P-Zombie personnel. No deficiencies or security concerns were identified retrospectively, but modeling predicted significant breakdown of social cohesion and group effectiveness in the event that personnel learned their appendectomized coworkers were P-Zombies, and not the comrades they believed them to be. In that light, the Council opted to suspend further research into 6171 and restrict knowledge of such to O4 and O5 personnel with a confirmed intact neuroappendix. It is the Council's opinion that the anomalous source will come to light through field encounters or non-directed research. Justine sat back in her chair and rubbed her eyes. Where to even begin? Well, that's fucked up. My cousin had his appendix out. He's my favorite cousin, too. Maybe that's why he's working on his third divorce. Emmett began cracking open pistachios from the bowl that always sat next to his monitor. Justine couldn't seem to get the words out. She was silent for a minute. Every single person with appendicitis. This is big, but I've seen worse things sent from the public. As world-shattering lies go, this is mid-grade. The data's pretty low quality. The best evidence they have these P-Zombies even exist is basically anecdotal. Do you really think this telepathic entity is the only thing in existence that can detect that somebody is conscious? The ramifications are huge. It needs to be verified. And beyond that, the research is unfinished. They never figured out the cause. Council put an hiatus. Isn't this our job to confirm old research, to catch things that have slipped through the cracks? The 4 or 5 other replication studies that Justine had been considering began to slip away. They couldn't begin to compare to this in impact. It looks like there's a recorded conversation between 2 of the original researchers. Transcript of conversation between Dr. Alan Hendrickson and Dr. Irwin Little, recorded December 25th, 1982. This is hard to understand. Our default assumption as humans is that all of the cognitive functions produced by the brain are inseparable from consciousness. What does that even mean? To separate thought from consciousness? And how can one of our zombies go on thinking that they're not having experiences? I could ask you how a calculator manages arithmetic without consciousness. When you put it like that, it sounds rather silly, doesn't it? The calculator isn't experiencing anything. It just has states, logical pathways that lead to arithmetic outputs. The states don't feel like anything. There's nothing there to feel them. But these men, the tests show they can see color, hear music. They're experiencing the world. Their brains are receiving the input of the senses, yes, and interpreting it into a picture of the world. All of their cognitive good fucking grief. All of their cognitive faculties appear to be intact, but the brain's capacity to identify that something is shaded red does not depend upon a capacity to experience redness. It's the difference between a photodetector reading wavelengths and outputting red, and a person having the color red, living it, knowing it. I can't believe they'd be able to fool us so convincingly. I've had conversations with a number of them. They know what's going on. They are alert, oriented, thoughtful. You're underestimating the human brain. This is an automaton more elaborately constructed than we could ever imagine. Not in 1,000 years. The brain has 100 billion neurons, 100 trillion synaptic connections. Our best computers are on the level of a flatworm in terms of neural complexity. There is a lengthy pause. A perfect deception, then. like us in every way except for the capacity for subjective experience. Let me ask you this, do you think I have experiences? You were screened? Yes, yes, I mean, hypothetically. How would you determine if I had experiences? I mean, if we didn't have that damned entity. If you asked me if you asked me to consider whether or not I was sure I had experiences, and I sat back and thought about it and declared, yes, I believe I do, as anyone would, what would you make of that? If I'm really the imposter with no experiences, well, then what was I doing just now when I considered the question? What does the automaton do with the request to examine its own internal processes for something it does not have and cannot comprehend? There is a lengthy pause. Well, you're right, of course. The automaton, when queried, cannot search itself for consciousness and find something. But if the rule holds as it does in our test, then it behaves outwardly as a human would. It would answer the affirmative. It knows that the right answer ought to be, even if it can't actually introspect. Does does class human possess quality consciousness? Yes. Therefore respond affirmative. Regular people follow scripts of this sort too. Pleasantries and such, answers that you know are the right things to say even if they're not true or you don't really understand them. Won't it notice something is missing? Surely their memories of being conscious. Not necessarily. Memory of being conscious, as you say, could could be nothing more than a neural appendix interpreting memories in that way in the moment. In other words, it's a layer of interpretation added after the brain does its business with the memory. You make it sound like consciousness is unnecessary, tacked on, like it's some kind of like it's vestigial. We know from mainstream research that the subconscious makes decisions that before the conscious mind is even aware of the change in environment. The decision's already been made. We're not talking mere reflexes, we're talking cortex. The subconscious makes most of the decisions, we're just along for the ride. It must be doing something like 500,000,000,000 synaptic. It must be doing something. 500,000,000 synaptic connections don't evolve in the gut for no reason. Oh boy, the bitch left. That's really funny. Justine took that personal day Emmett had suggested, then got to work. Emmett found half a dozen Thaumiel class SCPs that he thought could verify the absence. Where was it? The absence of a conscious subject. Justine worked to devise a multi-stage study to determine if there was actually any significant deviation from baseline psychological parameters in these P zombies. She reasoned that psych data from the 80s was virtually worthless and there was probably more subtle signals that she could tease out. They also planned to mine non-Foundation data. They had access to the largest psychological database ever compiled, the US military's personnel files. There could be a correlation already hiding in the data. You might only need to know what to look for. Class D personnel. Class D personnel represented a biased sample of the population, so they weren't much use. Increased propensity to violence, decreased IQ, decreased agreeableness, and conscientiousness. So Justine used her co-workers. It was easy to quickly recruit a large body of test subjects, when mandatory screening by mysterious testing was already commonplace. It was literally in the job description. The tricky part was deciding what traits to go after and how to measure them. How do you detect the perfect imposter? What goes on in the mind of a zombie? What even is consciousness? She realized she needed to hit the civilian literature. This question was on the bleeding edge of consciousness studies, philosophy of the mind, and neuropsychology. A lot of people smarter than her had run up against this wall, but she had something they never had. She had a case study. She had the neurology available to her. She could look at consciousness side by side with its absence. There was remarkably little basic research answering the question of what the brain was doing at the level of the cortical network. Computer science seemed to be pushing the field just as much as medical imaging, but the majority agreed on one thing. They didn't know what consciousness was. There were tantalizing hints, provocative theories. Justine realized she needed to pick a side. She needed to pick a side in the raging debate. She had to narrow down the possibilities or she'd never get anywhere. She briefly considered entirely upending her worldview and siding with the mysticism of the mind body dualists in light of the fact that there were apparently monsters, and what were, to her, magical spells keeping them contained. Was it really that much of a leap to believe in a soul? Ultimately, she decided she couldn't work with that, so she defaulted to physicalist materialism out of despair. Once her brief crisis resolved, Justine landed on a testable hypothesis. Straightforward viewpoint held that consciousness must be a network property of a system that had modeled itself down to the level of its own internal processes. A model of the world was never complete until the model included the modeler. The environment was not separate from the subject was the environment. The best planning required models of possible futures, and that meant predicting the consequences of your own actions. But when an organism's action toolbox grows more complicated than the mechanics of mere survival, when your environment includes other minds that are just as smart as you are, that are competing for resources and mates, your potential actions can get quite complicated, and the stakes are high. You have to know yourself to know you're capable of. You have to know yourself better than your rival, or they'll outpredict you and outflank you. Your model suffers if you don't have an internal observer to report to the model about what the self is doing. Justine began to see a way forward. Within a month, she'd screened almost everyone on site and she'd picked up 613 people with a history of appendectomy. Good enough for her purposes. It had been shockingly easy to carry out the research plan. Relative to civilian academia, doing mundane psychological research in the Foundation was frictionless. Resources were all there, ready to go. The subjects were all perfectly willing. They just needed no incentives. They all showed up for their appointments. She could automate most of the data collection in a computerized testing environment. She didn't have to waste time navigating the ethical considerations of testing human research subjects. Nobody cared. She had carte blanche to do the testing the way she wanted to do it. The ethics committee had preemptively rubber stamped her entire project before they even knew what she planned to do. And apparently, I didn't write any more. That's the last fucking sentence in here. Damn. Well, that was actually. I think I might have continued that in like a document somewhere, but I'm probably wrong about that, knowing me. Who even is here, and why is here, and what is here, and who is here, and what is here, and what the hell's happening? I don't know. What should I even think anymore? I don't know. Okay, I don't know. But yeah, the stream's gone for almost an hour, and like the entire point of it's kind of moved now. So I'm gonna go bye bye, and see you later, I guess.